Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? What is a sensor? How is censorship defined? So we continue on with our linguistic analysis. My rights continue to be violated. I continue to ask the international law enforcement community for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. With that being said, we move on with our derivation. So progressing through a well-established process of analysis until we arrive at a definition, the unique connection of sensorality or its iteration in consensus in everyday speech in word forms that are already present, giving us our stabilized definition, what is a sensor. First thing at the front of my mind, right, we have a syllable is the fundamental unit of meaning. What is a syllable to a word? What is a word to a language? What is a syllable to a language? And so, like, really what establishes one language from another? Hindi, Bengali. Again, I always go to Indian ones kind of for, like, in Danyavad and Danyabad is the example we've used. But what really differentiates one language from another, right? It's kind of easy to say, you know, English, or is it? English is different than Chinese, but what is, you know, again, Bengali to Hindu or Tagalog, or again, how close or different does a language have to be differentiated? Right? What is a syllable to a word? What is a word to a language? What is a syllable to a language? Just progressing through our steps until we arrive at the definition of what is a sensor. Sensorality is the odor of phosphorus. Sensorality is phosphoricality. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing the phosphorus. That syllable I remember being important in the derivation of speciality. What is phosphoricality to sulfuricality? Sulfur, phosphorus. Sensorality smells like burning. Direct iteration. What is honesty to integrity? What is integrity to integration? Direct iteration. What is integration to reiteration? Our logical mathematical operation word of what is exponentiation. Any term to a rank 1 is a statement of identity. It just 3 to the first power is just 3. 3 to the second power numerically is 9. Right? Is that iteration? Does it make logical sense to say reiteration? And then we've kind of asserted that anything past 2, again, our 1 too many counting system, our stabilized numbers, is a reiteration. And so, logical operation, what is exponentiation? Reiteration. You are literally timesing a base by itself a given amount of times. That is what a power is. That is what a rank is. That is what a degree is. And then we have this logical operator word now, reiteration, associated with exponentiation. What is integration to reiteration? Sensorality is integration. Is integration iterated? Again, integration is literally iteration with, again, our fundamental syllable ing, but it's not complete or it's not one-to-one. And nothing's one-to-one. There are no bijections. There are no isomorphisms, but one-to-one meaning this chunk of syllability, this word with conceptualization, to this word with conceptualization that's different, but the same exact letters. And so, meaning we have the word iterate, and then you have the word integrate, but you're definitely adding an N and a G, but for our fundamental syllable ing, right, we'd be redoing or duplicating the I. Just pointing that out, but is integration iterated? Integration is iteration with a ng. Again, we're getting to this direct literal statement, right? The function of logic, how you communicate with people, is pretty much slang. And then the language itself is directly literal. For example, petition, competition, right? What is the logical connection of those words? Right? Competition is clearly built on the linguistic form petition, but is a petition a competition? Again, it's just language is literal, and then you have this association of meaning coming from context. Sensorality is terrationality. Natural definition, direct iteration, complete. And that's from the next step from is integration, iteration, or iterated. And then we're just taking the terrationality from integration and then just putting that ing at the end. So integration is derationing completely. Emphasizing the CST iteration, again, of that first letter and of that fifth letter, because again, sensorality, those two S's are iteration elements. We're literally going to integrate the syllability of sensorality or show its direct iteration, integration that's already present. Sensorality is reintegration. Natural definition, direct iteration. The opposite of reintegration is resegregation. Sensorality resegregates. Again, historical example, integration, segregation. Now we have a conceptual motivation to put the prefix re. Right? Reiteration, reintegration, resegregation. The opposite of reintegration, we just did that. Sensorality is resegregationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Resegregation is reseparation. Natural definition. Is separation reciprocal? Sensorality is the breakup was mutual. Or just direct iteration. Sensorality is reciprocality. Natural definition, direct iteration, directly from reciprocal. What is reciprocality to mutuality? Is reciprocity mutual? What is medicinality to mutuality? Is medicine melodic? Is cadence melodic? Sensorality is melodicality, natural definition, direct iteration, again emphasizing that OD syllability. What is key to melody? What is velocity to melody? Sensorality is get a load of this, direct iteration. What are lenses to senses? So this was a big, certainly I would say the most poignant step of this derivation section. The word lens, so we say like this is a unit of something, but if you have sunglasses, if you have lenses, it spells out the word senses in the same way censorship with a C spells out censor, and those S's are iterated by one element. And I don't think at any point in this derivation we've come across lenses before, but it's senses with an L iterated. Sensorality lenses, direct iteration. A sensor lenses, direct iteration. Sensorality senses lenses, direct iteration. What is lensing to sensing? What is lensing to eclipsing? Are glasses lenses? What are glasses to sunglasses? Are sunglasses shades? Sensorality throws shades, sensorality casts shade. Direct iteration, is shade salty? What is shady to salty? What is shady to certainty? What is a note to a melody? What is melody to harmony? Is melodic harmonic? What is melody to mode? Again, emphasizing that OD. What is mode to media? What is media to trivia? Sensorality is trivial trivia. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is trivial consequential? What is lensing to sequencing? What is integrity to diligence? Is diligence agentic? Direct iteration. What is integrity to honesty? Is integrity wholesome? Sensorality is wholesomeness, natural definition, direct iteration. What is wholesome to heartless? Yeah, heartless. What is contradiction to consistency? What is consistency to contingency? Is contingency tangential? Direct iteration. What is contradiction to connotation? Sensorality is connotationality. Sensorality is notationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is nationality to notationality? Direct iteration. Is notation notable? Is honorable notable? Sensorality is honorability. Sensorality honors thy father and mother. Direct iteration, again, the direct historical progression. We're literally articulating the entire logical structure that exists. What is synchronization to realization? Sensorality synchronizes realization. Direct iteration. What is honesty to hostility? What is sterility to hostility? Sensorality sterilizes. Sensorality is sterility. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality sterilizes hostility. Direct iteration. Sterilizing is neutralizing. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is sterilizing to stabilizing? What is sterilizing to utilizing? What is sterility to sensitivity? What is sensitivity to reactivity? Reactive reaction. Does reaction rotate? Cyclicality rotates. Direct iteration. Sensorality is debatable. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is debate to rebate? Is a rebate a discount? Are incentives motivating? What is motivation to invitation? Is inviting accepting? Does regret apologize? Sensorality is an apology. Natural definition, direct iteration. Fundamental theorem of emotion, sensorality is apologeticality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is sorry an apology? Say it like you mean it, little Johnny. Eulogy, apology. What is dichotomy to apology? Liability is the ability to lie. Liability is the ability to lie down. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing the spelling of lie down is the same way as lying to be deceitful. Sensorality stands up. Sensorality stands up for what is right. Direct iteration. Sensorality is an immediate, tight right. Vibration mediates sensation. Sensorality mediates potential movement. Direct iteration. What is mediation to moderation? Moderation is mode regulation. Natural definition, again, moderation mode. Sensorality regulates mode. Sensorality regulates mood. Is mood a mode? What is mood to connotation? What is tone to connotation? Direct iteration, again emphasizing tone and note, are direct iteration. Time and item are direct complete iterations. What is potential? Is potential pertinent? Priorities are pertinent. Direct iteration. Is adversity priority? Sensorality is advertisement adversity. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is adversity to integrity? What is advertisement to reimbursement? Reimbursing makes whole. Direct iteration. Sensorality pursues reimbursement. Direct iteration. Is economy judicial? Is economy comical? What is comicality to cyclicality? What jokes are funny? What is comedy to tragedy? Emphasizing the historical, I think it's the Greeks or Shakespeare or somebody, right, the comedy and the tragedy aspect of a good play. Right, it's a fundamental dichotomy clearly present in history. Is funny hysterical? Couldn't read my own handwriting. Sensorality is hystericality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is hysteria crazy? Is a craze viral? Is hype crazy? Sensorality is hype type. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is serenity to sterility? Is usual normal? Is consensual usual? Direct iteration. What is usual to casual? What is use to abuse? Direct iteration. Sensorality is usability. Sensorality is usuality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Casual, causal. Getting back to this word that's used historically as a meaningful philosophical physics progression, causality. Not a word. You can't say what you don't know, and you literally cannot articulate logic that is not fundamentally consistent with elementality, right? Sensorality is for cause. Direct iteration, emphasizing the legal context. You're employed at an at-will state, but you got fired for cause. That direct phrasing. Sensorality is the cause of censorship. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is the center of identity. Sensorality is the center of odor. What is identity to activity? What is identity to idolatry? Idol, icon. Sensorality is the center of scent. Natural definition, direct iteration. So I was driving to the zoo today to go check out the new silvered leaf langur, who's orange. Check out that video. But the car in front of me was an ascent. And just immediately ascension to ascent. Tension, tent. But just this reduction or contraction, or again, this truncation of syllability when a word ends. Ascension, ascent. And then we have the word, or sensorality is the center of scent. Natural definition, direct iteration. But again, to the overall form of language, when we go from, right, is tension, tent, is attention, attent, but ascension, ascent, there's some sort of generalized form of contracting syllability. What is stabilizing to finalizing? What is finalizing to epitomizing? Quintessentiality epitomizes. Direct iteration. Are quizzes quintessential? Direct iteration. Sensorality is a quick quiz. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is a quiz a test? What is a whiz to a quiz? A whiz is a wizard. Direct iteration. Wizard, lizard. Sensorality is a whiz kid. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is kidding joking? Is joking casual? Sensorality is a serious joke. Sensorality is serious jealousy. Direct iteration. Is generosity serious? Is crazy delirious? Sensorality is deliriosity. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is identity to sanity? What is sanity to stability? Sensorality stabilizes identity. Is identity predictable? Sensorality is an edict. Predict, edict. Natural definition, direct iteration. An edict is a declaration. An edict is an order. Natural definition. What is declaration to acceleration? What is slang to inversion? What is slang to contraction? Two examples I've written down, again, going viral right now, or was at least in the past year, but what you say. Hear it all the time. I'm just kind of like, what are you saying? What you say? It's like, form, what are you saying? What do you think about this? What you say, right? Contraction. You're just taking away a bunch of words. People get what you're saying, but it's just like, why are you doing that, Bill? Why are you saying what you say? And then it do be like that. Again, two examples we've used throughout. I try to keep the examples even consistent throughout the derivation. But again, what is slang to inversion? Again, overall, we're trying to find this inverse of sensorality, which isn't a word, but it's a chunk of syllability, just sensor, and then ality. We have some sort of definitive, complete, completable section of syllability to stabilize this definition. So we're trying to find some sort of inverse, and then we have this contraction, ascension, ascent, but just overall in general, in total, complete generality, what can we say about those relations? Is slang casual? Is slang serious? Do letters have inverses? What is linguistic inversion? So specifically when we're representing sounds, syllables, words with shape, right? That's what I'm saying, linguistic, assigning symbolism to sound, right? What is linguistic inversion? Throughout this derivation, velocity, viscosity, massive physics words, direct linguistic representations. In inversion, the linguistic structure is literally changing the internal letters. Energy, entropy, same thing. They're inverses conceptually. Linguistically, they're very, again, this internal churning of letters. But how about something like love and hate? All right. Clearly something you would say are inverses, or again, inverse is maximum opposition. So you can say inverse, you can say opposition, and these are, again, still like lower order words or like lower caliber words than just differentiation, right? Speciality differentiates for sexual antagonism. And so that's our axiomatic structure that we're deriving from currently. It's the relationship of sensuality to speciality. The natural tendency to differentiate for sexual antagonism completely, but sensuality differentiates for sexual antagonism. Both inversion and maximum inversion, opposition, are forms of differentiation. But point being is people would say, or it is, like anytime I appeal to logic, like I have to present language as it's not 100% correct, because learning is still an individual process, where if I just state the answer, just like you can go into calculus class and have a 14-year-old be like, I don't want to learn this is wrong. And then everybody in the class is like, Johnny's a bad student. But if you do science, a rigorous science you haven't seen before, the 14-year-old that just says, oh, I don't want to do this, is Sean Carroll or Zed Witten. And then they're still scientists and physicists and they're not, and it's still the right answer. Right? But point being is, I said, most people would say love and hate are opposites. I make that type of appeal or that presentation of information to like, hey, don't shut down and have ontological shock yet about like the sky is blue. But love and hate are inverses. They are maximally opposite. But then you kind of have this awareness, people really hate the things they can't love, or it's like, most murders are committed by people that know one another. It's just like two sides of the same coin, dichotomy. But linguistically, love and hate are not the same inversion that velocity and viscosity are. This internal changing iteration of the letters. V on one side, velocity, V on one side, viscosity, Y at the other side, Y at the other side, and a little bit of the internal letters changing. Even more so with energy and entropy. But again, just point being, some of these linguistic forms have, again, clear similar structure that with literal inversion of the letters, and then linguistic structure where it doesn't seem like any relation at all. Love, hate, slow, fast. Right? They're opposites, they're conceptually different. They're as different as possible, but does not have the consistency of linguistic structure. So again, just what is the inverse of sensuality? Do syllables have inverses? Now again, syllable, the fundamental unit of meaning. Then you can have syllables with one letter, you can have syllables with more than one letter, but those syllables, the sound, that representation has elementality, irreducible spacing that you can see on your screen, on any screen, immediately from the font, and the things that line up precisely and exactly, and the things that don't. Fundamental theorem, sensuality, lenses, inverses. Direct iteration. Fundamental step, conception doesn't mean all of that much, but we're getting lenses, that iteration of senses, in with inverses, and it still has, again, that SES at the end, which kind of looks like lenses. Right? We're just getting in this correct elementality in which we can show the direct iteration of the syllability. Sensuality, lenses, inverses, censorship, lenses, direct iteration. What is shrinking to exponentiation? Sensuality shrinks. Direct iteration. What are senses to lenses? Sensuality is a sense lens. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is a syllable to a word? What is a word to a language? What is a syllable to language? Again, just overall, with this inversion, we have existence. Then before we can invert anything, we have all of this information present in language, and we just need the right conceptualization to pose the right question that's consistent, self-contained. The answer is literally sensuality, and it stabilizes some conceptual bridging. It establishes a definition between two well-defined conceptualized words. Sensuality is just a chunk of syllability. But overall, again, what is a syllable to a language? What really establishes a language? Right? Syllability is what is fundamental. These sounds that produce some sort of elementality that you can't reduce, and we represent those with letters. What is syllability to linguistics? Sensuality is the word of the Lord. Natural definition, direct iteration. Lord, laud. Sensorality is laudability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Laudability is honorable. Natural definition, sensorality is laughable. Sensorality is laughability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is liability laughable? And so, again, that's where we're at. Again, all logic that is present in our species that has meaning had some sort of, chronological importance. And so to have a complete total differential, you have to literally encapsulate the entire conceptual logical process since the beginning. But remember, not die, reproduce, and think is our overall conceptual bounding. You never break that. You can never break that. You could never break the form of language. It is what it is. And proofing is just establishing identity. What is a sensor? And then overall, we have this one linguistic progress or evolution where it's like there's only so many things you can prove. And this is just the next chronological step in what is provable with the entirety of logical structure that exists. And so, again, my rights continue to be profoundly and extensively violated. You've destroyed my health. You've destroyed my ability to have a family. You've literally ruined my any potential I could have at any life quality. I continue to beg. There is nothing else to say. I've been abandoned by my species. I am seeking asylum. I've been seeking, again, I'm being held against my will, and that is kidnapping. And I keep saying all of these major felonies that are actually literally being committed against me, and actually literally nobody cares. Obviously for legal documentation, because I fear retribution. It would be cool to be able to afford groceries one day. I have no expectation it could ever occur. Again, in this great, hardworking, law-abiding land in great Ohio, where all we have these just hardworking Americans, a lot of people that just believe in, helping their neighbor and just being good people, and not obviously just hypocrites that compete over nothing. That is what I have for right now. Thank you for watching another day that my parents age, another day without an acknowledgement of my life. And you guys continue to lie, cheat, and steal about literally everything. You guys are such great people. And you set great examples for your kids. That is what I have for right now. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.